Good morning to the students of 11 and 12 class. Today I have come here with another lecture on voice, basically on the changing of the voice from active to passive on interrogative sentences. In my previous lectures, you uh, got an idea about the way we can change the sentences, assertive sentences from active to passive and the imperative sentences from active to passive. Today we will learn how we can change the interrogative sentences from active to passive. And at the very beginning, I like to tell you that I like to tell you, I like to give you an idea about the interrogative sentence. Because today I am going to give you an idea about the changing of the voice on interrogative sentences from active to passive. So what is interrogative sentence? Interrogative sentence is a kind of sentence of questioning. That means interrogative sentence is a kind of sentence through which we may ask some questions. And questioning or questions may be arised in two ways. In one type of sentence, we may ask question using WH word, and in another type of question, we may use auxiliary verb before the subject of a sentence. So there are two ways we may formulate the interrogative sentences. So today, we will learn how to change the interrogative sentences from active to passive. So we have already known that interrogative sentence may be formulated using WH word in the very beginning of a sentence or using auxiliary verb before the subject of a sentence. First, I like to tell you about the sentences which are especially formulated using the auxiliary verb before the subject. See, do you know me? It's an interrogative sentence because here I ask you whether you will know me or not. So do you know? And in this type of sentence, I have used the auxiliary verb before the subject of a sentence. And at the end of a sentence, you will get note of interrogation. You will get a note of interrogation. So it's an interrogative sentence using auxiliary verb before the subject. So first of all, you must identify the very sentence. What kind of sentence? It's an interrogative sentence. Secondly, you have to identify what kind of tense it is. As it starts with the auxiliary verb do, so surely it's a present indefinite tense. And in my first lecture, you know that all the 12 tenses we classified into two groups. One is continuous related, another is continuous free. So 6 out of 12 tenses we find 6 out of 12 tenses we find continuous related, and the rest of the 6 out of the 12 tenses are continuous free. So we have given you two rules, one for continuous related, another for continuous free. As it is not a continuous tense or continuous related sentence, so we should use the rule which is especially used for continuous free. Do you know me? It's an indefinite tense because here we find the auxiliary verb do. So as it is an indefinite tense, we should use the auxiliary verb which will be or which have been used in a present continuous tense. Because in that my lecture I have told you that the sentences which are continuous free, in those sentences we should use the auxiliary verbs just the next uh, tenses, that is as it is present indefinite, so we should use the auxiliary verb of present continuous tense. There we will find the auxiliary verbs am, is, are. So, and we have already got an idea about the basic or primary rules of changing the voice from active to passive. What are they? Subject will be object, object will be a subject. We need an auxiliary verb according to the tense, and the principal verb will be V3 or the past participle form, and we should also use a preposition on the basis of the verb. So first of all we should change the object. Here we will find object me. So me will be a subject here, I. And for the subject I, we should use am. Here we will find am, is, are for changing the voice of indefinite, present indefinite tense. We must use am, is, are, but especially for the subject I, we should use am. And the auxiliary verb am I have used here, and then we need the past participle form of the principal verb. Here we find the principal verb know. So what is the past participle form of the verb know? Known. Here I have written known, and for the verb known we should use preposition to. Then we need to write the object of the subject, and here we find the subject is you, and for the passive voice we have to use the object of the subject you. It is also you. So it's an assertive sentence. I am known to you, but you must remember we are conducting the class, we are learning how to change the interrogative sentence, how to change the voice on interrogative sentence from active to passive. So the example is, do you know me? It's an interrogative sentence, but the changing voice, changing sentence is, I am known to you. So you have to remember that for interrogative sentence, you must use the auxiliary verb before the subject. And for this reason, we should use the very auxiliary verb am before the subject. So the correct sense of the voice of interrogative sentence will be, am I known to you? And when you will use the auxiliary verb before the subject, you have to use note of interrogation instead of full stop. So here we should use note of interrogation. So it's a correct change of interrogative sentence from active to passive. First of all, we must identify what kind of sentence it is. It is an interrogative sentence. Secondly, we should identify what kind of tense it is. It is present indefinite tense. So it is continuous free. So we have to use the auxiliary verb next to it, just next to it. That is present continuous. We have to collect the auxiliary verb from the present continuous tense. Another example is, have you learned English? It's another example of interrogative sentence, because here we find have an auxiliary verb before the subject. and at the end we find a note of interrogation. So it's an interrogative sentence. Next, what kind of tense it is? It's a present perfect tense. So it is also continuous pretense. So we have to use auxiliary verb in the case of passive from the present perfect continuous next to present perfect tense. Present perfect continuous is next to present perfect tense. So in the continuous pretenses, we must use the auxiliary verb from the next tense. That is, here we find the assertive active voice in present perfect tense. So we should use the auxiliary verb is the passive voice from the present perfect continuous tense. So first of all, what should we do? This object will be subject. Object will be subject. Here we find the object English. Here we find the object English. So we should make English as subject, and as it is present perfect tense, so we have to use the auxiliary verb from present perfect continuous. What are the auxiliary verbs? Have been or has been. So for English we should use has been because it's a third person singular number. So has been. Then we should use the past participle form of the main verb, that is learned, and then we should use the preposition by, then we should use the object of a subject, that is you. The changing sentence is assertive, but we need to change it into interrogative sentence. So what should we do? Here we find two auxiliary verbs, but we shouldn't use the very two auxiliary verbs before the subject. We must take the first single auxiliary verb before the subject, that is has, and the rest auxiliary verbs will be after the subject. So how many auxiliary verbs are there in a sentence? It shouldn't be considered. You must take the first auxiliary verb before the subject, and the rest ones will be after the subject. So the correct changing of the voice on interrogative sentence from active to passive is has English been learned by you, and you need to use a note of interrogation instead of full stop. So it's another changing of voice on interrogative sentence. So I think you have got an idea about the changing, about the way of changing of voice from active to passive on interrogative sentences, especially for continuous pretenses. Now I am trying to make you understand about the tense which are especially related to continuous. See, the example of interrogative sentence is he is making a noise. It's an interrogative sentence, it's an assertive sentence. So for making it interrogative, we should use the very auxiliary verb before the subject. So it will be, is he making a noise? Is he making a noise? The correct writing should be fresh, clear. Is he making a noise? It's an interrogative sentence. And next we should identify what kind of tense. It's present continuous tense. So it is related to continuous. So for related to continuous tenses, we must learn a single rule. What will be the rule? The rule will be different on The rule will be different for auxiliary verbs for each and every tenses, and for these auxiliary verbs should be remembered only by two rules, one for continuous related tense, another for continuous free tenses. So for continuous related tenses, you must remember that one key rule for auxiliary verbs, that is, you must use being the existing auxiliary verbs. You must add being with the existing auxiliary verb. You need not any other auxiliary verbs. You need not to collect any auxiliary verb from any other tenses. Only when you will find continuous related tense, you will use extra word or verb, that is be with ing for continuous related tenses. Is he making? So here you have found is and verb plus ing. So it's a continuous tense. For knowing or remembering continuous tense, you should know the basic structure. What is the basic structure? Be plus verb plus ing. Here we find be plus verb plus ing. So it's a continuous related tense. And for changing this type of tense, you must use being, especially from passive, active to passive. So first of all, we should use the subject. Now what will be the subject? Here the subject will be here the object will be the subject. So the object is a noise. Then we should use the existing auxiliary verb is. Then we need more word, that is being. For each and every continuous related tense, you must use being for passive voices. For passive voice, you must use being for continuous related tense. So the existing auxiliary verb is, and we also use here, add here being, then the past participle form of the verb, made, then a preposition by, and the subject of the subject, him. It's an assertive sentence, but we need to change it into imperative. So we need the first auxiliary verb before the subject. So the correct sense of these type of tenses or sentences is a noise being made by him, and we also need a note of interrogation. So I think it is easier to learn the tenses, learn the different tenses on voices by two rules, one for continuous related, another for continuous free. Only by learning these two rules, you may change the voice from active to passive very easily. You need not keep all the 12 different rules for different 12 tenses. You should know only two rules for changing different 12 tenses from active to passive. The rules are continuous related tense and continuous free tenses. For the continuous related tense, you only use extra word being with the existing auxiliary verb. That is, here we find is, and another extra word is being. Another example is was she singing a song? Another example of continuous related tense, because here we find the verb and then verb plus ing. Be plus verb plus ing indicates a continuous tense, and it's a past continuous. What type of continuous you need not to learn. It's a continuous tense, and for continuous tense you need extra word being from active to passive, and the rest of the rules are always same for changing the voice. So the object of a subject, a song, then was the existing auxiliary verb, and we need extra word being, and then the past participle form of the verb sung, then preposition by, and the object of the subject are. It's an assertive sentence, and you need it to make interrogative. So the very first auxiliary verb should be taken before the very subject. So it will be, was a song being sung by her? Was a song being sung by her? And at the end of the sentence we need to use note of interrogation. So in such a way, by learning only two rules, you may easily change the voice from active to passive. You need not to learn 12 different rules for 12 different tenses, because all for tenses the changes of the particles or elements will be same. The difference is on the auxiliary verb. So for the auxiliary verb, for the differences of auxiliary verb, you need to keep the two rules in your memory. One for continuous related tense, another for continuous pretenses. So I think I have made you understand how you can change the voices on interrogative sentences from active to passive, especially using the auxiliary verb before the subject. In my next class, I try to make you understand how you can change the interrogative sentences from active to passive using WH word. So till then, save yourself, take care of yourself, wear mask, and be free from coronavirus. Thank you all.